My name is Elias, and one Mykonos night turned my cocktails into a love that crashed like a tidal wave. It was August 2025, and at 26, I was a bartender in a neon-lit beach bar where Mykonos pulsed with techno beats, salty air, and a wild kind of freedom. My mojitos sliced sharp with fresh mint. My martinis flowed smooth as the Aegean Sea. Each pour a spark of my soul, a way to drown the quiet ache I never named. I'd spent years mixing drinks, lighting up strangers' nights with my creations, but my own stayed cold, untouched by the warmth I craved. That is, until he walked in. The club was electric that night, bodies swaying under strobe lights, the air heavy with sweat, sea breeze, and the thrum of bass. I stood behind the counter, shaking a cocktail, my grin easy, my hands moving like they knew the rhythm of the island. I'd come out as gay at 20, left Athens for Mykonos's chaotic embrace, chasing a life where I could breathe free. Love, though, was a wave that slipped through my fingers, fleeting, never staying. I'd stopped looking for it, letting my drink speak for me. Then I saw him. He sat at the bar's edge, a sketchbook open on the counter, his pencil dancing across the page like it was chasing the music. He was maybe 27, with sun-bleached hair tied back loosely, a white shirt open at the chest, and eyes that caught the neon glow like they held a storm inside. He wasn't dancing, but his gaze moved with the crowd, sketching their chaos in quick, confident strokes. I slid a mojito his way, unasked, the glass sweating in the heat. He looked up, took a sip, and closed his eyes, letting the flavor settle. "This," he said, his voice low and warm, "is a painting." My pulse jumped, not from the bar's rush, but from something sharper, alive like a spark in the dark. I leaned over, wiping the counter just to stay close, and caught his eye. "You're not dancing," I said, my voice teasing. He grinned, slow and bright, like dawn breaking over the Aegean. "I'm painting," he replied, turning his sketchbook toward me. It was a blur of bodies, neon streaks, and, somehow, my hands mid-pour captured in sharp lines. "You mix like an artist," he said, his words cutting through the bass, his accent hinting at London or maybe Lisbon. I flushed and used to being seen like that. "Just a bartender," I muttered, but he shook his head, his eyes locked on mine. "You're a creator, Elias." The word hit me like a wave, waking something I buried deep. I laughed, unsure why his words hit so hard, but my hands weren't as steady when I offered him another drink. "I'm Theo," he said, his fingers brushing mine as he took the glass, the touch brief but electric. "Elias," I replied, my voice catching in my throat. The bar pulsed around us, techno, laughter, clinking glasses, but it faded to nothing. His eyes held mine, and for the first time in years, I felt seen, not just as a bartender, but as something more. This wasn't just another shift. This was a tide, pulling me under, and I didn't want to fight it. The bar thrummed with life, but Theo's presence carved a quiet space just for us, like a spotlight cutting through the chaos. His sketchbook lay closed now, his eyes fixed on me as he sipped his mojito, the glass catching the neon glow. "Why mint?" he asked, leaning closer, his voice curious, like he wasn't just asking about the drink, but about me. I didn't expect the question to hit so hard, but I opened up, the words spilling out. I told him about Athens, how I'd left its weight behind at 20, how Mykonos's wild nights set me free. "My cocktails," I said, "they're how I live out loud, how I make the night feel alive." He nodded, his smile warm, like he saw the heart behind every pour. He shared his own story, his voice steady but laced with a dreamer's edge. Theo was a painter, chasing light across cities. Amsterdam's misty canals, Rio's vibrant favelas, now Mykonos's shimmering shores. "I paint to feel the world," he said, "but I've never stayed long enough to belong." His words echoed the restlessness I hid behind my grin, and for a moment, we were just two souls drifting in the same current. The DJ switched to a slower beat, a sultry rhythm that curled through the air. Theo stood, offering his hand, his eyes daring. "Dance with me," he said, and I hesitated. My place was behind the bar, not out there. But my coworker waved me off with a smirk, and I took his hand. We stepped onto the beach, the sand cool underfoot, the bar's neon fading into starlight. The music pulsed, and Theo pulled me close, his hands light on my hips, guiding me into the rhythm. Our bodies moved together, synced to the beat, the waves roaring nearby, matching our energy. "You move like you mix," he said, his breath warm against my ear, sending a shiver down my spine. I laughed, my hands finding his shoulders, the crowd blurring into nothing. The sea sparkled, the air alive with salt and possibility. This wasn't just a dance. This was us, sparking something real under Mykonos's endless sky, our hearts beating in time with the tide. The music faded, but the spark between us burned brighter, our hands still linked as we left the bar behind. We wandered along Mykonos's shore, the waves lapping at our feet, moonlight painting the sand silver. Theo's shoulder brushed mine, each touch a quiet pulse in the night, electric and steady. "Why Mykonos?" he asked, his voice soft but piercing, like he wanted to unravel me. I let my guard down, the words raw. "Freedom," I said. "This island lets me breathe, lets me be me. But when the bar lights go out, it's just me and the quiet." He listened, his gaze steady, a warm tide pulling me closer. He spoke, his voice softer now, almost a whisper. "I've drifted," he said. "Amsterdam, Rio, the dozen cities, no home, no anchor. But tonight, with you, your eyes anchor me." My heart raced, hope surging like the waves around us. We stopped by a rocky cove, the sea glittering under the moon, the air heavy with salt and something unspoken. "Elias," he said, his hand finding mine, fingers locking tight. "This feels like a canvas I've been waiting to paint." I squeezed his hand, our pulses sinking, the world fading to just us and the ocean's whisper. This wasn't just a walk. This was love, rising like the tide under Mykonos's silver moon, pulling us deeper into each other. We sat on the sand, the moon high, Mykonos's waves singing a soft lullaby. Theo's hand stayed in mine, warm and certain, washing away years of solitude I hadn't realized I carried. "I paint to hold on," he said, his voice low, "to moments, to places. But tonight with you, I want to live, not just capture." I nodded, my walls crumbling under his gaze. "My drinks light up the night," I said, "but they don't follow me home. They don't fill the quiet." His eyes softened, and he leaned closer, our shoulders touching, the warmth of him grounding me. A breeze swirled, carrying the scent of salt, and Theo stood, pulling me up. "Come with me," he said, leading me to a quiet cove where the waves glowed under the moonlight. He knelt, tracing patterns in the sand, a heart, a wave, a star. And I joined him, our fingers brushing as we drew together. The world blurred, Mykonos the bar my doubts, until it was just us, creating something fleeting but real. "Elias," he whispered, his lips close, his breath warm, "I want us." I leaned in, and our kiss ignited like a summer storm, deep and wild, a tide I'd never escape, burning through every fear I'd ever held. Our kiss deepened, slow and sure, the waves crashing around us like they were applauding. When we pulled back, Theo's smile was brighter than the stars, his eyes locked on mine, holding a promise. We sat by the cove, talking as the night stretched on, sharing dreams we'd kept hidden. He wanted to paint here, murals rooted in Mykonos's light, art that stayed. I wanted my drinks to tell new stories, to share them with someone who saw me. What if we build that? I said, my voice steady. You, me, this island of life. Theo nodded, his hand tight in mine. I'm all in, Elias. I grabbed a canvas from his bag, and we painted together. Neon blues, fiery reds, our hands messy with color, laughing like kids. This, I said, holding up our chaotic masterpiece, is us tonight. He kissed me again, soft and tender, sealing our promise. As dawn painted the sky pink, we walked hand in hand, planning a life. His art, my cocktails, a home by the sea. My name is Elias, and this is our gay love story, proving one night can light a lifetime. If this story stirred your soul, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more. Comment below. Could one night change your life? Help us hit 1,000 subscribers. Your support keeps these stories alive. Join our journey. Chase your tide.